Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Kevin Wallace, and in this video we want to continue in our series of videos where we're installing different components found on Cisco's CCI Collaboration version 2.0 lab. There are several videos now here on my YouTube channel you can go check out. We started off by installing a CSR 1000V router, that's a virtual router, and we did that on top of a VMware ESXi platform, and there was a separate video just on installing VMware ESXi. Then we installed a Cisco Unified Communications Manager server. We had a couple of IP phones, a couple of Cisco 8845 IP phones register with that Communications Manager server. And then we had another video where we installed Cisco Jabber. And to do that, we installed the Cisco IM Presence Server, and we needed some DNS resolution. So we also installed a Windows 2012 R2 server and set up a DNS server on that Microsoft Windows server. Now we want to set up unified messaging, voicemail. It does a lot more than voicemail. Cisco calls it unified messaging, but what we're going to do is set up the Cisco Unity Connection, or the CUC server. And at the end of this video, our goal is to take those two phones that we in an earlier video had registered with a Communications Manager, and we want them to each have a voicemail box, and I simply want to be able to call one phone from the other, and after a 10-second timeout, it's going to be forwarded to voicemail. I want to be able to leave a voicemail for that phone, and then go to that phone as that phone's user and retrieve that voicemail. So that's our goal. Install a Unity Connection, leave a voicemail, retrieve a voicemail. Let's get started though by taking a look at the topology that we've already built and see what we're going to be adding on. Here's the topology we're working with right now, and it took us a few videos to build up to this point. If you want to go check out those prior videos, I've got links for them down in the description of this video. But we started off by installing a CSR 1000V router, the HQ router. It's a virtual router running inside of VMware ESXi. And in case you weren't familiar with VMware ESXi, we had a second video that showed you how to install VMware ESXi. And we talked about setting up virtual switches and port groups, and we set up the virtual HQ switch, and we put it in the HQ port group. And the servers that we've been installing, we're attaching those to that HQ port group, which sits behind the virtual HQ router that then gets us out to the rest of the world. And we've installed a Communications Manager server. We got a couple of phones to register with that. We installed an IM Presence Server, and we got a Cisco Jabber client to register with that. And that was thanks to installing also the Windows 2012 R2 server that's named HQAD. What we want to do in this video is add a Cisco Unity Connection, or a CUC server. You can see from the topology that it's going to have an IP address of 10.3.3.3, and the goal at the end of this video, we just want these two HQ phones, HQ Phone 1 and HQ Phone 2, we want them to each have a voice mailbox on this Unity Connection server, and we want one phone to call the other one. It's going to time out, and then we'll go to the other phone and say, hey, we've got a voicemail, and we'll be able to retrieve that voicemail. And to save time, as I've done in some prior videos, I've already uploaded the CUC install ISO file into the data store of the ESXi server. So let's jump over to that ESXi server now and install Cisco Unity Connection version 12.0. All right, let's get our CUC server installed. I'll say create/register VM. We'll create a new virtual machine, and I'm going to name it HQ-CUC, and I'll set the compatibility, as we've been doing, to ESXi 5.5, the guest OS family Linux, and the guest OS version CentOS 4/5 or later 64-bit. We'll say next. We'll use our one and only data store, and I'll set it to a couple of cores. The memory, we'll set that to 16 gig. I'll set my hard drive to 160 gig, and I'll make it thin provision to save room on our physical hard drive. And the network adapter, it's already defaulting to HQPG, the HQ port group. That's perfect. For the CD drive, let's specify a data store ISO file. I've already uploaded it. It's this 12.0 version of Cisco Unity Connection. We'll select that and say next and finish. It's going to build the machine. And let's get it started. And as we've done before, I'm going to pop this up in a separate tab and expand it so we can see it a bit better. And through most of the installation, I'm going to skip through that on the video so you don't have to sit and watch the whole install process. But whenever there's a prompt on screen, I'll be sure to show you that, and we'll talk about what it's asking us. But here in just a moment, in fact, here it is. It's asking us, do we want to examine the media? No, I'm installing off of an ISO file. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to click on the screen, say Tab, and skip. The only thing on the media to install is Cisco Unity Connection. I'm going to select that, and we'll say OK. Yes, I want to install that version that's on the quote-unquote DVD. It's really an ISO file. We'll say yes. I do want to proceed with the installation wizard. I do not want to apply a patch. I'm doing a basic install. Let me set my time zone. And we'll do continue because I'll let the virtual machine take care of the speed and duplex settings on the NIC. I don't want to change the MTU size from the default. I don't want to use D8CP because I want to set a static IP address. First, the host name though is HQ-CUC. The IP address is going to be 10.3.3.3 with a 24-bit subnet mask. The gateway address is 10.3.3.100. I do not want to enable DNS on this machine. We'll say no to that. The administrator ID is administrator. Give my password. The organization is Kevin Wallace Training, LLC. The development unit, you put in your specific information. Location, I'm in Richmond, Kentucky, United States. Okay. This is the first CUC node in the cluster, so we'll say yes to that. For the NTP server, I'm going to point to our CSR 1000V router because it's receiving NTP time from the internet. So I'm just going to get it from that router. And its IP address is 10.3.3.100. We'll say OK to that. My security password, I'll enter that. I do not want to use SMTP on this machine. My application username, I typically use the same username. Probably not a great practice for the real world, but it's good for a lab environment for me anyway. Enter my password. We'll say yes. And because I'm installing this on a VMware machine, it's going to have me reinitialize the media. I'll say reinitialize all. And it's going to begin a fairly lengthy installation process. I don't think it's as lengthy as maybe some of the other servers we've done, but I don't want you to have to sit and wait while the installation happens. So what I'm going to do is pause the video now, and whenever it comes back with a prompt asking me for something else, or when it completes the installation, we'll rejoin you then. Now, at one point during the installation, it comes back and says, hey, the hardware you're using doesn't support Unity Connection. And I'm just going to say continue. And it says, if you install it on this platform, you're not going to be able to use your Cisco support contracts. That's fine. We're just doing this for a lab environment. I'll say continue. And TAC is not going to support me. Oh, that's fine. I'll agree to that. And the installation continues. Well, the installation completed without any additional intervention from me. And I've already got the administrative screen for Cisco Unity Connection pulled up here. But before we do anything here, we need to do some work over on our Communications Manager server. Now, here's why. Remember in a prior video where we set up that SIP trunk between Communications Manager and the IM Presence Server, and we use that trunk to send some signaling information back and forth between those two servers? Well, we're going to do something similar here. In this video, I'm going to set up another SIP trunk between Communications Manager and our Unity Connection server. And over that trunk, we're going to be able to send signaling information. We're going to be able to have the Unity Connection server retrieve user database information from a Communications Manager. But that's only one way we could have done it. There's another option that Cisco supports, and that's doing a skinny integration. We can use the Skinny Client Control Protocol, SCCP, to connect together, logically, our Unity Connection server and Communications Manager. So there's two ways of doing it, a SIP integration or a skinny integration. In this video, I'm going to show you a SIP integration. The first thing we want to do, though, is to go under User Management, and let's go under End User. And for a couple of users that we created in a prior video, HQ Phone 1 and HQ Phone 2, I want to associate them with their actual phones and select the phone number on that phone that acts as their primary extension. That's going to be the extension that's going to trigger the forwarding to voicemail if it's busy or if it doesn't answer. First, HQ Phone 1. Let's go into HQ Phone 1. That's our user. And I'll say Device Association. And we're going to select the HQ Phone 1 device. I'll select that and say Save Selected Changes. And let's go back and select our other user and select a primary extension. Now that we're associated with this phone, we now know what phone numbers are available on that phone, and here it's just one phone number. It's 2001. That's going to be our primary extension, Let's save that. And let's do something very similar for our other user. Let's go into HQ Phone 2 and say we want to associate that user with its device. And here's its device. Save selected changes. Let's go back to our users, and now we'll select our primary extension, which is going to be 2002. Perfect. Now we have our two users associated with their phones, and we've said, hey, this is the specific directory number on that phone that's acting as the primary extension for this user. And for that SIP trunk that we're going to set up between Communications Manager and Unity Connection, let's go under System Security, SIP Trunk Security Profile, and select Non-Secure SIP Trunk Profile. And I like to check these 4 boxes, all of them that say accept. I like to check all of those. And by checking all of those, that's going to give me what I need when I apply this to a SIP trunk that's going to the IM Presence Server or the Unity Connection server. Let's do a save. I'll do a reset. And now we're ready to configure that SIP trunk. Let's go under Device, Trunk. Let's create a new trunk. And it's a SIP trunk. We'll say Next. And we'll give it a name of CUC for Cisco Unity Connection. For the device pool, I'll say we belong to the HQ device pool. And when a call comes into, let's say, my phone, and my phone forwards it to Unity Connection, we want to make sure that all the caller ID information gets sent correctly. So there's a couple of checkboxes that I like to check. I want to check the redirecting diversion header delivery inbound, and there's another one down here for outbound. Let's select those. Oh, and also, just like a phone needs permission to place a call, I want to give this trunk permission to place a call. I can give it a calling cert space. I'll give it the HQ calling cert space. Now, down here, just a little bit lower, we can specify the destination IP address. This is the IP address at the other end of this SIP trunk, which is our Unity Connection server with an IP address of 10.3.3.3. And remember, we tweaked our SIP trunk security profile a moment ago. We want to select that tweaked profile. We also have to select a SIP profile, and I'll just say standard SIP profile. Let's do a save. And whenever I save a newly created trunk or gateway, I like to always do a reset. You might say, well, it's brand new. Why would you want to reset it? Oddly enough, sometimes they don't work if you don't reset them even after an initial configuration. So we'll reset it. And then the next thing we need to do is to add a route pattern. So if somebody calls whatever we designate as the voicemail number, when somebody calls that number, we want to say that call is going to go over this trunk and it's going to go into our Unity Connection server. And we can add that call routing information by going under call routing, route/hunt, and we can add a route pattern. And let's say that the route pattern that we're going to use is 2500. That's going to be our voicemail directory number. We'll say 2500 is the route pattern. And I'll put this number in the internal partition, the same partition in which we placed our phone's directory numbers. And if somebody calls 2500, we want to send them to our CUC trunk. And this call is going on inside of our organization. There's no need to provide outside dial tone, so I'll unselect that box. And let's do a save. And now that we've got a directory number set up for voicemail, we need to say that, hey, this directory number, it is the voicemail pilot number. To do that, we go under Advanced Features, Voicemail, Voicemail Pilot. And we should have one by default. Let's do a find. And you see there's one that says default. Let's go into that one and educate it about what the phone number really is. We're going to say it's 2500. And we're going to give it a calling cert space again of HQ. And we want to make this the default voicemail pilot for the system. Well, let's do a save. And by doing that, that should have automatically updated our default voicemail profile. But let's just confirm that. Advanced Features, Voicemail, Voicemail Profile, and we'll do a find. And for the default voicemail profile, it knows that we're going to a pilot number of 2500. We're done with our tasks now that we need to perform on Communications Manager. Let's now go over to our Unity Connection server and set things up there. Let's go over to Cisco Unity Connection. I'll get logged in. And you see that the menuing structure is a bit different here as compared to Communications Manager. We've got a lot of options here on the left. Before we start digging into those options though, I want to start up my services. I want to go under Cisco Unified Serviceability, and we'll say Go. And let's go under Tools, Service Activation. Let's check all services. You notice a few of them are deactivated. Just for the lab environment, I want to activate everything. And I'll do a save. It's going to take a few moments for that to finish. So I'm going to pause the video here and we'll resume once all these services have been activated. Well, all of our services have been activated now. So let's go back to our main administration screen. And we want to define a phone system. Now, the phone system we're going to be using is our Communications Manager phone system, and we're going to be integrating with that Communications Manager using SIP. We scroll down here in this left-hand menu, we go under Telephony Integrations, and we select Phone System. And there's a default phone system that we can use, but notice that it currently has 0 ports. That's not going to work. So after we tweak this phone system a bit, we'll need to add a port group, and then we need to populate that port group. So let's go into our one and only phone system that we have. And for now, we can just leave everything as is here. But notice it says, the phone system cannot take any calls unless we have a port group. Use related links to add a port group. So we'll do that. We'll click on Go to say we want to add a port group. And instead of doing a skinny integration, we want to do a SIP integration. We'll select SIP. And let's put in the IP address of our Communications Manager server, which is 10.3.3.1. We'll save that. And we'll check this box that says register with SIP server. So we'll save that. We'll do a reset. Notice it says reset is required. And it's giving us another message that says, okay, you've got a phone system, you've got a port group, but the port group has no ports. We need to add one or more ports to this port group. So let's go to related links again and say we want to add ports. We'll say that we want to add 2 ports and save. And here are those 2 ports listed out. And then we want to set things up such that Unity Connection can, as just one example, reach out to Communications Manager and retrieve information like username information. And to do that, what some people do in the real world is they create what's called an AXL, an AXL, which is short for Administration XML, but an AXL user. You can create a special AXL user that you give permissions to do certain things. Not everything, but certain things. Here in this lab example, I'm just going to use my existing administrator user because it has permission to do everything. So I'm not going to create a special AXL user, but some people do for the real world, just a division of responsibilities. It's probably good practice. But to define this user that's in the background going to be logging into Communications Manager, let's go back to Phone System. Let's go into our phone system. We'll say Edit. And I'll select Cisco Unified Communications Manager AXL servers. And let's add a new server, and it is 10.3.3.1. And it's going to be communicating on the HTTPS port of 443. And we could define more than one server, and we could set the order here. When we connect with that server, I'm going to be logging in the background with a username of administrator. Give the password. I'll do a save, and I can do a test to make sure that this is going to be working in the background. Test message successfully sent to our AXL server. Fantastic. Now let's also define some information for our port group. So under Telephony Integrations Port Group, let's go back into our port group that we created, and under Edit, we'll select Servers, and I just want to make sure that we are pointing to our Communications Manager server. On port 5060, that's our SIP port, and 5061, that's the secure SIP port. And we are, so that looks good. I do want to add a TFTP server, though. Remember how a Cisco IP phone boots up and it downloads its configuration information from a TFTP server? We want our Unity Connection server to be able to access that server as well. And that server is our Communications Manager server, so I'll just add that information, 10.3.3.1. We'll do a save. And it says one or more port groups needs to be reset. So let's go do that. Let's go back into our port group, and we'll select our port group and click the reset button. Now at this point on our configuration, we haven't set up voice mailboxes for our users yet. We haven't imported our users, but we should have communication between our Communications Manager server, and our Unity Connection server. So as a verification that everything's good up till this point, let's do this. I'm going to go over to one of my HQ phones, and I'm going to press the Messages button. And by the way, if the Messages button doesn't go anywhere, I might need to do a reset. In fact, I probably do, so it can learn who the voicemail server is. But let's go do that and see if we can press the Messages button and be directed to our Unity Connection server. Well, here we're looking at HQ Phone 1 and HQ Phone 2. Now, on HQ Phone 1, if I go off hook and dial 2500...
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System.
We can hear that, yes, indeed, we are connecting to the Unity Connection server. However, if I press the Messages button, nothing happens because it has not downloaded its configuration file since we made that update to say, hey, the default voicemail pilot number is 2500. So what we can do is go into Settings, and I'll go into Admin Settings, press a 6 to do that, Reset Settings, and then I'll say Reset Device. And that's going to take a bit of time to do. Confirm that. Now, I've already done the reset device on HQ Phone 2, so let's press the Messages button here.
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone.
And you see it goes directly to Unity Connection. So everything's good as far as our basic connectivity between Communications Manager and our Unity Connection server. We're able to dial into the Unity Connection server. The next thing we want to do is to set up voice mailboxes for our users. And when somebody calls one of these phones and it diverts to voicemail after 10 seconds or so, we want to be able to leave a message and have that user retrieve their message. So let's go back and set that up. Now that we've done that basic verification of our integration, let's do this. Let's add users to this Unity Connection server. But before we create a user, we might want to create a user template that contains a collection of settings that will be applied to new users without having to go into those users later and manually configuring all of those settings. Also, we might want to create an authentication rule which can dictate a user's password policy. Because Unity Connection does have a fairly strict password policy set up, and for a lab environment, I like to loosen that up a bit just to make it easier for a lab environment. Certainly not a best practice for the real world, but here's how I'm going to set it up in the lab. The first thing I want to do is to set up an authentication rule, or modify an existing authentication rule. What we'll do is go under System Settings, Authentication Rules, and I'll go into Recommended, let's make this a bit larger. We'll go into Recommended Voicemail Authentication Rule. And I'm going to say my minimum credential length is 5, so I might use a PIN of 12345. I'm not going to check for trivial passwords because that would be a trivial password. I'm going to save this change. And now let's modify the default voicemail user template. Scroll up just a bit to Templates. We'll go under User Templates, and we'll select Voicemail User Template. And by default, it has it set up for self-enrollment at next sign-in. You might want to do that in the real world, where somebody uses their voicemail for the first time and it has them set their own voicemail box up. In this case, though, I'm going to uncheck that. And I'll save that change. And then I'll set the password myself. I'll go under Edit, Password Settings. And I'm going to uncheck where they have to change it at next login. I don't want to force that to happen. Notice that we are using that recommended voicemail authentication rule that we've already changed. Let's go under Edit and say Change Password Now. I'm going to make it really simple just for this lab environment. I wouldn't recommend this for the real world, but I'm going to say it's 12345. I'll confirm the PIN as 12345. We'll do a save. And now we're ready to import our users from Communications Manager into Unity Connection. Let's go to Users and then Import Users. And I want to find users that live in the phone system that we've already defined. Let's do a find. Notice we could narrow it down and find just a subset of users, but I'm going to search for the users that we configured earlier that have their primary extension set. I'm going to say I want to import all of these users. It says, are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I'm sure I want to import those 2 users. It's going to take just a few seconds to complete. Success 2, failure 0. We like that. Now at this point, we should be able to go to one of our phones again, press the Messages button, and log into our voicemail box with the PIN of 12345. And if the other phone calls us and it diverts to voicemail, we should then be able to retrieve that message. So let's go back out to our phones and test things out. Well, let's go to HQ Phone 1, press the Messages button, and see if we get redirected to our voicemail server.
Enter your PIN followed by pound.
Great, our PIN is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we press pound.
HQ Phone 1.
Hello. To send a message, press 2.
All right, we're able to get to our personal mailbox. Now what we want to do is go to HQ Phone 2, call into HQ Phone 1, and it's going to time out because we're not going to answer within 10 seconds. It's going to say, I don't think they're going to answer, and it will forward off to Unity Connection, and we'll be able to leave a message. Then we'll be able to retrieve our message, hopefully, from HQ Phone 1. Let's try it out. Let's go off hook, and we'll dial 2001. We're ringing here, but we'll wait for it to time out.
Sorry,
HQ Phone 1.
is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
This is a test of Cisco Unity Connection. And I'll hang up. Now, if you notice, we have a red light on the handset illuminated. Let's move this over so you can see that just a bit. We've got a red light right here. And we also have a visual indicator on screen that we have voicemail waiting. So let's retrieve that voicemail. Let's press Messages.
Enter your PIN followed by pound.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pound.
HQ Phone 1.
Hello. You have one new voice message. New messages. Message 1 from
HQ Phone 2.
This is a test of Cisco Unity Connection.
received today at 3:51 p.m. To repeat, press 1 to save it, 2 to delete it, 3 to reply, 4.
We'll delete it.
End of new messages.
And we'll go back on hook. And once we did that, our message waiting indicator went off on our screen and on the handset as well. All right, we've done it. We've set up an integration between Communications Manager and Cisco Unity Connection. Let's go back and revisit the topology we started with earlier. Well, here's a review of what we did and a preview of what videos I have coming up and how you can get access to them. But here in this video, what we did is we added a Cisco Unity Connection server to our topology. And at this point, we've built out this entire topology that we started with a few videos back. But I'm not quite done in my overall series. You see, here at KW Train, Kevin Wallace Training, I'm starting in the development of my CCIE Collaboration Lab video training series. And that video training series is going to walk you through the different elements of a mock lab that I make up. And it's also going to show you more of what you've already been watching here on the YouTube channel, more of how you get these servers installed, maybe to set up your own home lab. For example, we've not yet talked about Expressway C and Expressway E and how they can help you traverse a firewall. We've not yet talked about Cisco Unity Express Virtual, how we can have a virtual machine that's running Cisco Unity Express, and lots more. So this video series that you've been watching on YouTube, it's going to continue for members of my Cert Accelerator program. Here's what that's all about. Members of my Cert Accelerator program, they pay a low monthly rate. It's currently less than $30 at the time of this recording. But as a member of the Cert Accelerator, they get access to all the current courses that I have hosted on my website, which includes lots of existing collaboration content. We've got some route switch content out there, lots of cybersecurity content. And when we're developing a course, they get pre-release access to the videos from the courses that are under development. Now, at the time of this recording, our security expert, Charles Judd, he's developing the CCNA Security video training series, and he's already got videos posted out in the Cert Accelerator as he's building out that product, so people don't have to wait for the final product to be released. They can watch it as it's being built. And I've already mentioned that I'm going to be continuing this series within the Cert Accelerator, so my upcoming videos in this CCIE collaboration series, that's where you're going to be able to find those as well. We're also adding practice exams. We've already got the CCNA Route Switch practice exam out there that I personally wrote. We have another instructor right now developing the Network Plus practice exam. And when we write books, we're making the rough draft chapters of those books available to the Cert Accelerator members. And to get your hands dirty, Cisco has available for free a simulator called Packet Tracer. And there's a lot of misconceptions about Packet Tracer. No, you don't have to be attending a Cisco Networking Academy course at your school, you can just sign up for the free Introduction to Packet Tracer course, and they let you download the software. And we're going to be putting up some Packet Tracer labs over the coming weeks, including a video of how to go get Packet Tracer and how to navigate the interface. But we're going to have a bunch of labs that will help you get your hands dirty and actually get some hands-on experience configuring a lot of things. And we're starting off with an OSPF lab. Now, I mentioned that you get access to all the courses currently hosted on my website. Well, those are available via streaming access only for obvious reasons. But if you go ahead and sign up for the Cert Accelerator now at the time of this recording, you're going to get immediate access to the following courses. You're going to get immediate access, streaming access, to the Spanning Tree Protocol Crash Course, the Quality of Service Training Series, Charles Judd's entire CompTIA CYSA video training series to get ready for that exam, my Cisco Cert Success Path series, where I give you very detailed information about how I recommend you take exams and get ready for the next step in your career. You'll get the OSPF crash course. You'll get my CCNA IP Subnetting Simplified course, in addition to Charles Judd's CCNA CyberOps video training series that gets you ready for both of the exams leading to your CCNA CyberOps certification. You'll also get my video course entitled Your IT Career Success Blueprint that has a lot of worksheets that you can download and fill out to help you really set your goals and know exactly what is your next step. You'll get some bonus content as well, which includes 3 sessions from my private Diver Down group, the recordings of those 3 original sessions. That's going to have 50 MP3 files of my first 50 episodes of the Broadcast Storm podcast that you can listen to on the go. You'll get my Fundamentals of Network Programmability video course, where I teach you how to program in Python and how to create Python programs that go ahead and reconfigure switches and routers and talk to controllers like the APIC and the APIC EM. You'll get my Cisco DevNet Sandbox Collaboration Labs, where you get your hands dirty on real gear out at Cisco's DevNet Sandbox. You'll get videos from my CCNP Voice video training series, CCNA Collaboration, as well as CCNP Collaboration. And just to give you a sneak peek of what's in the works, what we have working now and what we have planned, well, currently in production, I'm working on a new route switch certification guide, and as chapters become available for that, we're going to drop rough draft chapters into the Cert Accelerator. The Packet Tracer Labs, I've already told you about those. I told you that we're working on a Network Plus practice exam right now. Charles Judd is actively putting CCNA security videos up in the Cert Accelerator on a regular basis. And as I do more of these videos, CCI collaboration videos, they're going to be posted there as well. And some things we have planned for the future, even though I'm not sure when Cisco is going to announce the new versions of CCNA and CCNP collaboration. When they announce it, we're going to begin work on developing updated video courses for the NA and the NP collab track, as well as the CCNP route switch update whenever that comes along. We've also got plans in 2019 to start rolling out our CCI route switch video training. We've had a lot of requests for that. And just to make sure the Cert Accelerator is right for you and just to kind of go in and get your feet wet and browse around all the resources available, I want to offer you a 3-day free trial. Just go to the link on screen to check out the 3-day free trial and see what the current pricing is of the Cert Accelerator. Obviously, as we get more content, the price adjusts up over time. But if you go ahead and sign up, you can lock in today's rate. And at the time of this recording, today's rate is less than $30 a month for all this content that we're talking about. And I really hope you've enjoyed this series that I've been doing on YouTube on how to construct your own home lab for your CCA collaboration version 2.0 studies, as well as NA and NP collaboration for that matter. But that's going to conclude the videos in this series on YouTube. And future videos, they're going to be out here in the Cert Accelerator. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.